Hi, I'm Therese Scherer, and this is Jim Masters, and this is California Proposition 4. You'll see it on your ballot as authorizes bonds for safe drinking water, wildfire prevention, and protecting communities and natural lands from climate risks. It is a legislative statute. Jim, can you please tell us what the question Proposition 4 raises?
Sure. Proposition 4 raises the question, quote, should California borrow $10 billion in bonds to fund environmental infrastructure projects aimed at conserving natural resources as well as responding to the causes and effects of climate change?
And what is the current situation around these issues?
Currently, the state pays for many activities aimed at conserving natural resources as well as responding to the causes and effects of climate change. Over the last 10 years, the state of California has paid out $13 billion annually on natural resources and climate related disasters, with about 15% of this coming from bonds. There are a few $1 billion remaining from prior climate bonds that have not been committed to specific activities.
What are some of the current areas of climate focus?
Climate focus is on increasing available water, conserving fish and forests, improving state and local parks, wildfire protection, and mitigating sea level rise, among many others.
And how are these activities funded now?
Funds come from local, state, and federal sources. The state can pay for these activities upfront or by using bonds. Local governments also pay for water, infrastructure, and local parks. And the federal government contributes funds to things like improving local drinking water systems and building energy infrastructure.
What does Prop 4 propose?
Prop 4 allows the state to sell $10 billion in bonds to protect natural resources and for climate related activities.
Who would receive these funds?
Money would be offered as loans and grants to local governments, Native American tribes, nonprofit organizations, and businesses. Money would also be made available for state agencies to spend on state run activities.
How would the funds be distributed?
38% of the funds would go for safe drinking water, groundwater storage, wastewater recycling, and flood control. 15% would go for forest health and wildfire prevention. 12% would go for dealing with sea level rise along coastal areas. 12% would go for land conservation and habitat restoration. 8.5% for energy infrastructure and renewable sources of energy. 7% to expand, renovate, and repair state parks. 4.5% for protecting communities from extreme heat. And 3% for farms and agriculture to improve soil health, reduce air pollution, and use less water.
Does Prop 4 have any other requirements?
Yes, it requires that 40% of the funds be used to directly benefit communities that have lower incomes or are more vulnerable to impacts of climate change. It also requires regular public reporting on how the bond money is spent.
What would the fiscal impact be?
It would increase state costs by about $400 million annually over 40 years to repay the bond. This is one half to 1% of the general revenue fund per year.
What do supporters say?
Supporters say, given the threat the state faces from wildfires, water pollution, and extreme heat, the need for more spending on these issues is urgent. They say wildfire smoke caused more than 50,000 premature deaths in just one decade, and nearly 1 million Californians lack access to safe drinking water. And they say communities need to adapt to climate change and reduce our climate pollution right now. This is not a problem that can wait until it's convenient to fund in the budget.
And what are opponents saying?
Opponents say the cost of interest on this bond is too high. These projects should be funded from the regular budget without taking on debt. The funds voted on will be paid for by future generations who did not have the opportunity to vote for this measure. And they say the proposed uses should be separated out for funding initiatives and distribution.
What does campaign financing look like?
$170,000 has been raised in support. See the top contributors on your screen. And $0 have been contributed in opposition.
So, in summary, what does a yes vote and a no vote mean?
A yes vote approves the state sale of up to $10 billion in bonds to fund various activities aimed at conserving natural resources and responding to the causes and effects of climate change. And a no vote means the state would not borrow $10 billion in bonds.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Therese.